spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. Nobody has more kinds of cars for more kinds of people. See them at the sign of the cat. By Goodyear, makers of the custom Steel Guard radial tire. And by State Farm Mutual. Almost anywhere you live, there's a State Farm agent nearby. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. You know, if you are a player on the Dallas Cowboys team and you are trying to get a contract, there is no win. There is a no-win situation, especially with a lot of you guys out there. Okay? Pick a side. Let's just be consistent. I don't care which side you take. Be consistent. For every single one of you guys that are out there saying that Micah Parson shouldn't do a podcast, you better not have said that Dak Prescott should take a discount because he was doing endorsements. Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember? I couldn't find the clip of Stephen Jones, but Stephen Jones, here, I'll paraphrase. Well, you got to understand that when you are the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, you have opportunities that you don't have anywhere else because of the amount of endorsements and things. There's no taxes in Texas, and that's why you need to leave a little bit more on the table. You know, you don't have to take every dollar because you can basically do work elsewhere. And people kept saying, pounding it, yeah, Dak Prescott, he's just greedy. He could go out and work another job and be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, so that way he takes a team-friendly deal. And mind you, every single one of you guys that talk about taking a team-friendly deal, let me ask you, when they're done with you, where's that team-friendly deal go? Do they look and say, hey, we appreciate you taking that team-friendly deal, and since you can't play anymore, we're going to go ahead and give you a pile of money? I'll wait for that to happen. Okay. So let me at least play this clip from Emmitt Smith because, see, let me read a quote. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And if you don't understand what that means here's an explanation per AI overview. The quote means that if people don't learn from their mistakes, they are likely to repeat them. For example, if someone touches a hot stove and gets burned, they might touch it again if they don't learn that the stove is hot. Hey, Steven, the stove is hot, buddy. Listen to Emmitt Smith here.
I mean, Dak Prescott is a free agent.
Right. Byron Jones
is a free agent. Amari Cooper, free agent. And there's some others that are free agents. So
how do you prioritize that?
I got to go with my quarterback.
Okay.
I got to protect my running back by having a good quarterback.
And then you get to like Amari and Byron, and I look at Byron as one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league. I look at Amari and the success he's had in a short amount of time, and we saw how that offense changed when all of a sudden Dak has a guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to decide between those two. If I go Dak first and then it's like he's going to ask for a lot of money, I don't know where I go next.
Well, Dak has to understand and maybe take another perspective. The perspective may not be all the money that you get. It may be how much of the money you're willing to leave on the table because the Cowboys is a marketable organization.
And so you got all that extra money.
So if you are the face of the franchise, would it not, instead of taking 35, would you take 28 and leave some for Amari and pick up the other 35 through endorsements?
Now, you've been on the Cowboys, so you know about that. If somebody said that to you while you were playing, and if, let's say, it was another Hall of Famer like yourself, would you as a kid be able to listen to that? Because it's nice to say from afar.
I practically did that.
Did you really?
Practically, but didn't.
Tell me about that. I didn't know this.
I mean, in some cases, you leave money on the table. You don't get everything that you ask for.
Right.
I wanted $28 million when I had the whole lot. I wanted to be an $8-9 million back. I wanted 28 for like 3 to 4 years.
And then who talked to you and said?
No one talked to me. It's just the fact that when I missed those first 2 games, it's like, okay, just give me the money I need to have. Let me go ahead and do what I need to do.
Right.
And go from there, and then maybe I'm back at the table again.
Okay, so that's what you got from Emmitt Smith. So here we are. For one, the Cowboys didn't learn anything on that because they kept talking about, oh, well, he's asking for too much money. And that was in 2019. And unfortunately, they didn't get himself a long-term deal. Had they went ahead and just said, hey, we'll go ahead and match the highest contract at the time, it would have been $30 million a year. That would have been signed a couple of years before, and they would have never had to have franchise tag him. See, the problem is it was that time period that screwed us in getting us to where we are today. They kept waiting to get Dak Prescott done. They could have signed him when he still had a 4th year, been able to basically pay him $30 million a year. And basically, like I've talked about, when you're paying a guy with time left on their contract, you're paying them in today's max. But next year, it's not going to be. And that's the key on here to save money. They ended up making it worse because instead of signing him in 2019, when it would have been $30 million, they franchise tagged him, which meant that it was a hard number. Then they signed him to a $40 million a year deal after that. So you ended up paying more money on there. And because you set that in motion and because you don't have another option, it just gets worse. The Cowboys immediately restructured the contract. So it was a $17 million hit the first year, a $19 million hit the next year, and then a $26 million hit. Well, the thing about that is that's great for that time period, but at some point those bells came due, and that's why our cap numbers are as high as they are, because of the mistake that the Joneses did back then, being short-sighted. So now, after everybody going through and saying that Dak Prescott needs to take less money, are now condemning Micah Parsons for doing a podcast. See, Micah Parsons is actually doing exactly what people said Dak should do. He should take less money because he's here with the Cowboys. And he's not the only player out here that has podcasts. Von Miller has them. Hell, the Kelce's. I don't know if you guys know this, but the Kelce's brothers last year signed a 3-year, $100 million contract. And Momo, is like, listening to fans out there, he needs to shut up because he's messing up his money. He needs to shut up because he's messing up his money. That's what they say, right? But here's the thing. Understand, HBO Max has a Bleacher Report on their programming. It's $10 a month extra to get the Bleacher Report there. Bleacher Report just redid their app. It's safe to say, when I think about the Shay Shay podcast that gets about 1 million views a day, that with about 30 million views a month with RPM of about $10, I'm sure, that just from ad revenue alone, that Shannon Sharp's probably making $6 million a year before sponsorships. He even admitted that one video interview with Cat Williams has made him $6 million. So Micah Parsons doing the podcast is enabling him to take less money, a la exactly what Stephen Jones said. There's, leaving money on the table. And now we're mad at him because we're saying he's not focusing on football. You can't have it all ways, people. You can't say don't pay him and then he's not able to make money on the side. You can't do it both ways. And it's ridiculous to think that in this day and age, you wouldn't want to do it. So here's where the rubber really meets the road. And I hate to.
So Myles Garrett, once out of Cleveland.
Jackass.
Myles Garrett grew up a Cowboy fan right there in Arlington, Texas.
Okay.
In fact, he was born December 29th, 1995, just as they were on their way to what would prove to be their last Super Bowl in 30 years.
In 30 years.
Then Myles Garrett went on to Texas A&M, and he went on to be selected number 1 overall in the draft. So would Myles Garrett love to be traded to the Dallas Cowboys? Well, sure he would. What percentage chance do I give that of happening? I'll be optimistic and give it 2%. Myles Garrett is better than Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett knows it. Myles Garrett has earned being the NFL's highest paid defensive player, which is what Micah wants to be right here, right now. Micah says he would take a little less money if Myles would also agree to take a little less. Well, what exactly is a little less, guys? And trust me on this, the NFLPA would raise hell with both their agents if either agreed to take less than whatever the market value is, just so they could be teammates. Also, trust me on this. Micah Parsons would not agree to take less than Myles Garrett if, in fact, Jerry Jones traded for Myles and immediately made him the highest paid defensive player ever. Micah says he'd do anything to win, even sacrifice some salary, but I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
It's hard to watch.
I never get that whatever it takes leadership vibe from Micah Parsons. I believe winning is optional for Micah. If it happens, great. If not, no biggie. I believe Micah mostly wants to be a star, be treated and paid like a star, a podcasting Dallas Cowboys star of stars, with starring the priority over winning.
Okay, he's just hard to watch. But this is the same guy that says, well, Dak Prescott got to leave money on the table because you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. You can't have it both ways, people. You can't have it both ways. He is doing exactly what everybody says they need to do. No taxes in Texas. You're a Dallas Cowboy. Well, he's now using his platform to make more money, and ultimately, probably over the course of his lifetime, if he does it right, will make more money doing that than playing football. But you got to perform on Sundays, because if you're not good playing football, nobody gives a rat's ass about you. Nobody cares. This is the hypocritical nature of the talking heads and everybody out there that's condemning Micah Parsons in his podcast. You're wrong. All righty, good people. As always, I appreciate you. Peace out.